The Lions and Giants are going to have joint practices this week ahead of their preseason game. Two beat writers, Patricia Traina and John Maakaron, here to explore and preview the two practices. Patricia, I'm curious, what are you looking for this week when the two teams that have practiced before practice against each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good opportunity for the two teams to see different faces, different colored jerseys. I think for the New York Giants, a couple of things I'm particularly looking for. Malik Neighbors has just been lighting it up in training camp. He's just been burning guys, getting behind the defense. Can he continue doing that, against the Detroit Lions? They have a couple of good cornerbacks back there. So I'm curious to see how he holds up there. Then the play in the trenches, that's going to be a key battle that I'm interested in seeing. So for the Giants, you've got Brian Burns, who has looked every bit the part since his acquisition from the Carolina Panthers. Can he test the interior of the Detroit offensive line? Kevin Zeitler, Frank Ragnow, and Graham Glasgow. So how does he test them? And of course, you also have Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. How are they going to test those guys? How are they going to test tackles? So is the pass rush for real? And then on the flip side, you've got the Giants offensive line, which quite honestly is still a question mark. They've been rotating different guys in there because of injuries. So how far have they come up? You're going to see Aiden Hutchinson probably go, I would think, against right tackle Jermaine Illuminor. I don't think he'll see too much of Andrew Thomas because there's really, I think, no point in doing that. So those are just a few of the many things I'm looking forward to seeing from the Giants' perspective.
No doubt. From the Lions' perspective, it's going to be all about the defense. The revamped secondary with Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, two draft picks, the first time that Brad Holmes selected cornerbacks. How are they going to match up against Malik Neighbors, who's clearly a potential star in the making? You look at the Detroit Lions defensive line, one of the big question marks in Detroit is, can this defensive line perform next to Aiden Hutchinson, the All-Pro? And you realize, look, Aiden Hutchinson is a player that is going to be, someone tasked with pressuring the quarterback and recording a lot of sacks. But the question mark is going to be, who's going to perform that duty opposite of him? And you look at Marcus Davenport, Levi Onwuzurike, two standouts so far in camp. So from the Detroit perspective, it's going to be, how does the defense perform against the Giants offense? And offensively, many people in Detroit are excited about the news that Jameson Williams has been having a stellar camp. Dan Campbell has raved about the work that he's done, the improved route running, the increased strength. And so for the former first-round pick, if he can have a good week of practice against the Giants secondary, that'll continue to bode well, as many of the starters are not going to play in the preseason. So these two practices are very key for the Detroit Lions defense and their offense. So it's going to be very exciting. Brian Daboll, Dan Campbell, friends. So they've had joint practices last year. So I expect it to be very professional and a lot of good work for the Detroit Lions this week.
Yeah, great start to the preseason for both teams, and the pads will be popping, so be ready.